You know, a lot of my fans, when I released this, they were like, oh, another mindless, ignorant trap song, like just a turn-up song. But, you know, just because it has some distorted 808s and stuff doesn't mean it's all devoid of all meaning, you know? That's not fair to the 808s. Quarantine is such a creativity killer, you know, like I've barely even gone outside in like 5 weeks. I think people underappreciate how much just like real life is so helpful for like making music. I'm like, I need to lock myself in a room for like 3 years and I'm gonna make the best album ever. I've gotten more into a routine, but it was definitely like a new sort of weirdly like difficult process. I'm like, where'd you go? Oh! I came in the shit out of nowhere, yeah, I didn't mean to scare you, bro. Used to look around, they're like, where he go? Now they see me everywhere, they're like, there he go. You know, I did kind of cheat in this Genius interview a little bit. I have to apologize to everybody because there's this big, like, in the beginning of the song, this huge, like, atmospheric, all these harmonies, intro, and then, like, out of nowhere, it's just like, I'm like, where'd you go? You know, so, like, in the song, it sounds like I'm coming in out of nowhere, which I thought was cool, but it's also, like, that's how I feel what has happened in this weird, sort of odd and small amount of success I've had. I feel like I came out of nowhere, and when I say, like, I didn't mean to scare you, bro, I also feel like, you know, maybe that has scared people away, you know, like, where'd they go? Which is actually, now that I'm saying it, is very sad. Yeah, it is kind of a little sad boy vibe, actually. Back again, every track running laps again. Same old me with the same old dreams, but I'm never fucking thinking about the past again. No matter where, like, I get to, you know, numbers wise in my career or whatever, like, I'm still the same person. When I say I'm never thinking about the past again, that's me saying, like, you know, I'm still true to myself and who I have been, but I'm trying to almost move on, you know? No matter where I go, I'm not fitting in. Back in my class, I left on my track since I was a little kid. They had me wanting to quit, I was all alone cause I ain't follow this shit. And now look how ironic it is cause they follow the kid and I ain't even following shit. In elementary school, I would make songs like me playing the piano, I'd be singing my heart out. But you know, kids they're mean in like middle school. Those are like the meanest people in the world are in middle school right now, you know? Nobody wants to be vulnerable and be like bearing their soul, you know, when you're like 12 and nobody really gives a fuck about like, you know, the art of anything. People are just like, you know, you're a loser. Yeah, like I definitely always felt, and not even just music-wise, like I've always been sort of like a weird person. And I don't blame people for laughing at my tracks. Like I look at my tracks and I laugh at them myself. Like I felt like that was for good reason, but it still just goes to the point of like I've always sort of felt a little bit in my own sort of weird like isolated zone, you know? Back in the mix, I'm in the game now. The industry think I'm a gimmick, they laugh at me, it's all the same now. I was sort of just trying to draw parallels like all throughout my life. Like in the beginning, no matter where I go, I'm not fitting in. Like I talk about, you know, my like childhood and high school, and then even going to this thing where everybody thinks, oh, once you make it and you're doing what you love, then it's you're perfect, right? But even in that like lane, I still don't really fit in. You know, I'm like the goofy white kid who flails his arms around and shit, you know? What the song's trying to say is that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I'ma clap my hands, a perpetual misfit. Numbers get big, my math skills simplistic. Watch them all cry, I'm low-key sadistic. Blink 3 times and you must have missed it. There's so many parts in my career or whatever when I've tried to be like, oh, I'm cool, I'm the cool guy, I can wear Yeezys, right? Doesn't that make me so cool? You know, but it's like there's some level of just acceptance where you're like, hey, I am this sort of weird guy, an unconventional figure, definitely in rap music. Like I'm not like a conventional sort of rapper, and I've tried a lot to try to change that, but I think this is sort of just like, hey, that's who I am, and I'm gonna make as much like dope art as I possibly can. And yeah, I may flail my arms around and whatever, but like that's the way it's gonna be, you know? Yeah, I earned so many stripes, I'm on my zebra shit. I'm trying to stop myself from killing you bitches, I'm on my Peter shit. That's just the hardest bar in the song. Bring me my biggest hater, you know? Add Twista to the Zoom call right now, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, nobody can disagree That's kind of a banger bar, you know?
You can't stop me, you just tweet a bit. You can't stop me. How many times should I repeat this shit?
I'm sure every artist deals with you know, people saying, "Oh, you're trash," or dealing with things, and it of course it'll get to you, and I'm sure it gets to a lot of people. But this is sort of me saying, you know, that's not gonna stop me. You know what I'm saying? That's just a tweet.
Congrats on your 5% royalty check. I get more streams than you without the editorial press, without selling my career to fucking corporate heads. So when they ask how much I get, I say 100%.
I'm still very much an independent artist. The first verse is sort of explaining, yeah, I feel I'm sort of disconnected in all these ways, and then the second verse is like, maybe that is actually beneficial, you know, and it's using this example of being an independent artist, that but also representing like who I am as a person. When you're independent, you reap more benefit, and it's more validating when you do have success. And so that's sort of a flip of the perspective, you know, like maybe I do sort of feel like I'm in my own sort of zone, but maybe that's not such a bad thing, you know?
And as a kid, they made me think I was different. Thank God for that, because I wouldn't be shit if they didn't. I asked everybody, are you gonna go to distance? I just heard no and no and no, like Simon Cowell in his show's Decisions.
Yeah, Simon Cowell's just always been there throughout my childhood, you know, like on American Idol. He's always saying no and no and no and no. And yeah, I just thought that it's just a little clever throwback bar right there.
So maybe I'm better off not being fucking accepted. Every line they presented, I went across. Told me there wasn't a lane, so I built me a plane and I got in and headed off. They can't see me through the clouds. They look around and they're like, where'd you go?
I did my last album when I was like 17 and 18. Not really with many resources to make the music other than like the basic Logic software and stuff, but I've always been very like big on like lyrical thematic concepts. I feel like in this new project, like I've pretty much produced every single song, like most of them without like any other co-producer or anything like that. And I feel like I've finally found my own sound, which I, you know, on my last project, you know, there was good concepts, there were some good songs, but I feel like a lot of it may have just sounded like a kid rapping on like some tight beats and stuff. But this, I feel like, is much more of like a statement to who I am as an artist. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're watching this and you don't like me, or you think like whatever, just give it a shot, and that's all I'm gonna say. The vision for the music video was basically just like, where'd you go? Like, people would watch this video being like, where the fuck is he filming this, you know? We're in Paris, we're in Slovenia. I was basically walking around all these like parts of Europe wearing this bright orange like jumpsuit,